All right, guys, so here we are again, coming back, getting ready for another day of our devotionals in the Immersed journey. And I hope you guys enjoyed the challenge, and I hope it spoke to you, and I hope you posted about it, because that's what's going to continue to share and allow us to kind of cross-pollinate what God is speaking to us through this journey with each other as fellow disciples together, in following and practicing the way of Jesus as disciples, that we are moving towards this idea, and we're understanding how we have been cleansed and brought through waters. And in our notes, there's been several kind of extras, if you will. So if you're more of the guy or lady who has been watching the video and then like, oh, okay, cool, there's text, definitely take a look at those texts, because those actually have some things and extras that we didn't actually talk about in the video. The video is kind of meant there to kind of spur you forward, give you the thought, give you the broad stroke, kind of look at it together, get your mind spinning, and then go and do some of that study on your own time, whether it be in between videos or even later in the day. So we're going to start off today the same way we have been, in a time of prayer. Now, again, this cannot be overstated, of setting our hearts and minds right before we approach. I mean, we even talked a lot about that, the idea of being pure, and even we can look at the way we set our hearts and minds in prayer as kind of that same similar act of purity and setting our hearts and minds proper before we approach the things of God even still. So we've done it a couple different ways. We've had just kind of a time the first day of setting our heart and mind. Then we kind of did this exercise that was kind of challenging for some of us, and to kind of figure out how to place our thoughts. And for others, it was like, wow, this really helped me pray. And then, yesterday we did what is called contemplative prayer, meaning a kind of a set in the quiet, another way of praying, where we set our hands out and said, God, here I am, search me, try me, as David said in the Psalm. And today we're going to do and continue with that, but we're going to do something a little different as well. Again, all of these things are just different pieces of the pie, if you will, kind of showing you different areas and ways that you may want to challenge yourself to experience prayer, to engage the heart, engage the mind, beyond just the, I prayed today because I said, God, thank you for my food, or I prayed today and I talked to God today because I said, God, please help me with this. Instead of it being more like that, now we're looking at saying, how can I start this deep, meaningful conversation? So we're just kind of trying to give you some tools and see at different times you may want to use different ones. And so today we're going to use what is kind of looked at as prayer positions, or using our physical body to kind of enter into prayer. And we've seen it. What's the number one that we know? Well, put your hands together, bow your head, close your eyes. We've heard that maybe in churches when we're saying everybody close your eyes and bow your heads, and we do these physical acts. Well, where did that even come from? Bowing your head, closing your eyes. Well, the idea of bowing your head is an act of submission or humility. The closing your eyes is an act of focus, to block out the world around you. So we use these physical acts. And today, in our kind of time and moment to set our hearts and minds to say, I'm ready to receive more about this idea of baptism, something that's been so central to Christ followers, is we're going to use our body to represent that same thing that we're praying. And the way we're going to do this today is, what I want you to do is, I know many of us are probably sitting in chairs on our couch or something like that. You may even be laying in your bed doing this at the end of the day. But what I want you to do is, during this time of prayer, I want you to get up and I want you to get on the floor. Now, when I say get on the floor, that can mean you're just going to set Indian style or crisscross applesauce. That means you could be kneeling down in a very traditional form of prayer, kneeling. You could lay down face first as an act. And this idea of the reason we're getting down on the floor is, let it speak to us as I'm lowering myself, I'm lowering my mind, I'm lowering my heart to say, God, I'm humbled to listen to you. Your ways are not my ways. Your thoughts are not my thoughts. And so I want to learn your ways and learn your thoughts. And this is just a physical act of saying, I am willing to humble myself towards this. So I challenge you right now, during this time of prayer, get up from wherever you're at and get down on the floor in whatever way that is, if that's kneeling, if that's sitting, or even laying down there. Don't fall asleep during it if you're doing the laying down, but engaging your heart and mind, saying, this is my act of humility, that I take my life, my physical body and life, and I submit it to you, because your ways are higher than mine. Let's take a moment and do that before we come back. All right, guys, as we've come back from this time of prayer, I encourage if you want to stay right where you're at, if you're kneeling or sitting and you want to stay on the floor for the rest of this kind of time of devotional and say, I'm just going to stay in this place because it's really speaking to me, please feel free to do that. If not, get up and let's get ready to go. Make sure you have your Bible and your pen and paper. We're going to look at some very interesting things today and something that kind of pushes us from the Old Testament and looking forward and pushing us into the New Testament in this idea of immersion baptism, starting with the analogy of the cleansing side of baptism. So today we're going to jump in to that.